thank you for coming to Auckland, and thank you for this gorgeous, fantastic action musical. Can we call it that? What would you call it, actually, Edgar? What would you call your film if you had to describe it in a nutshell?
That's a tricky one, because I think anytime you mention the word musical, there's a certain percentage of dudes out there that think it's going to be like Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
So I just want to say to the camera, it's not like Mamma Mia. There's not even any ABBA in the soundtrack at all. So I call it like a car movie driven by music is what I call it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so what would you call it?
Action heist musical.
Which is what I called it in my review.
There you go. Fine. That's fine.
Yeah. So it's not La La Land in a car. Let's be clear about that.
Car Land.
Yeah.
No, there's really no singing. There's almost no singing in it. I mean, Lily James sings a little bit, which is a great moment, but there isn't. It's not a song and dance.
No. But what it is it's singing along. So your beautiful character sings along, we sing along, which is what we do to music when we're behind the wheel of the car.
Yeah.
Don't we?
It's basically taking that kind of moment. So the character of Baby, who is kind of completely motivated by music, it's taking that thing that so many people do in their everyday lives when you like lost in your own little world with the music, and sort of pushing that to the sort of extreme. And this is a character that can't operate without the right music playing, and he just happens to have an extremely high stakes job as a getaway driver.
Yeah. It is quite a high stakes job, isn't
Yeah.
it? A lot of people have asked, what is this film about? Because the title's kind of ambiguous, isn't it? It's not misleading.
Well, it's about a young getaway driver, so it's pretty on the nose.
But is there some baby behind the wheel driving? Is this a sequel to Boss Baby? It's not.
He's just a baby-faced driver.
It is. He's a baby-faced driver. B-A-B-Y baby. You, no question, music is part of your life away from the camera, and you can see it on camera. I just want to get a sense from you why Ansel was your absolute go-to, why he was...
Oh, I think that's the thing, is when we first met, even before Ansel had read the script, the first meeting that we had, we just talked about music. So I think because the sort of, and an interesting thing, doing action as well, I think if you do have musical training, if you like sort of play an instrument, or like you dance, you know, all of that stuff factors into doing action stuff, like the driving and like parkour stuff, and the gun stuff, because it's all choreography. And in fact, a lot of the people in the movie, Jamie Foxx, obviously Kevin, Lily James, a lot of people had like musical background and stuff. But I think the thing that we bonded over was a sort of a love of music, and I think that was something that I just thought, that because that passion was real, it was something that was not going to have to be faked in the movie. So that was like a great starting block to work from.
Your thoughts, Ansel, when you first read the script and thought, I'm going to have to really put my heart and soul and my heartbeat
to try to get the role?
Yeah.
When I first read the script, I didn't have the role, you know. But what was so incredible about the script was that the music was integrated into it. So all the music that the audience hears when they watch the movie was written into the script. And when I first read it, it was on an iPad, and I had the baby earbuds in, and I listened to the music while I read the script, which was really cool. So already I could tell, wow, this movie is very unique, and it moves to the beat of this soundtrack. And that was just reading it. So when you see it move to the beat of that soundtrack, it's really incredible and really unique.
How crazy was then the shoot? I want to talk about the stunt coordinating and choreography in a minute, but just having to do that and translate that from a performance perspective for you, how would you describe
it? Felt really natural. I come from musical theater, and like you said, music's a big part of my life. So having a role where I was allowed to sort of move to music at all times, and even when there isn't choreography in a scene where you're just having dialogue with somebody, when you're both listening to the same song, you can both be on the same kind of wavelength and feel the vibe of that song, and that gets into the scene and into you. So the music only helped elevate everything, and I feel like it made my job easier.
That's amazing how you just described that, because that sense when you were sharing your earbuds with John Hamm or whoever you were sharing with, that was bringing us into that, which was so important with the buy-in for the audience and made it such a great journey. I need to talk about how that worked from a choreography perspective. I want to know the expression on your stunt coordinator's face when you said, you know, these car chases, I want to set them to every single beat of this song. Go.
Well, you just want the expression.
I do.
No, I don't think that was me, sort of. I think, you know, like, I basically shared everything with all of the crew. So when people came on board to this movie, they had a script, they had all the music. Some of it was storyboarded already, and it's like, this is what we want to pull off. I even had done a music video 15 years ago, which was like a sort of dry run for the opening scene. So I could kind of get everybody on board quite quickly. The thing where it became kind of tricky sometimes is when you're doing action scenes like the car chases, is trying to sort of literally plot out how far the car has to travel in this much song. So it's like breaking say for example the opening scene, which is like all set to one track. We had to figure out how far down these streets, how many blocks we would have to go to kind of match what we were doing in the song. So it's a very sort of mathematical approach to it that the stunt guys had never really thought in those terms before. And I'm also a real stickler for like the car chase being mostly in the correct order, so only people in Atlanta would even spot this, but the first car chase, the route that he does is pretty much exactly the route that you're following. Because a lot of action movies just kind of make it up, but I'm sort of quite, anal about it being like correct. So it's just bizarre.
To you, just because you hate watching it yourself as an audience member?
I think I just have to think things through logically.
Yeah.
And sort of if there's something where I'm trying to imagine that if this chase was really happening, where would I go? It's literally, me and the stunt coordinator would walk around Atlanta saying, okay, so he comes down here, and he comes up here, and then maybe he goes down this hill, and then maybe he goes up this alley, and maybe he goes up this ramp, and maybe he goes onto this bridge. And you just start kind of plotting it out, and then the location manager makes a face when you say, okay, here's what we want to do.
I can imagine what their face
Yeah.
like. Might have been more a hand signal. I get the sense from this that you had to do quite a bit of your own stunt driving. Was that up your alley?
I didn't have to, but I asked to do as much as possible. And they didn't let me do as much as I would have liked to have done for insurance reasons, etc. But I did get to do some stunts, and that's like everybody's dream. I mean, everyone wants to be able to drift a car around and do donuts and all that kind of stuff.
Every day.
So I learned how to do it, and in theory I learned how to do everything Baby knows how to do in the film. Because even if I wasn't doing the driving, there was a pod above the car doing the driving for me, and I had a loose wheel that, in some movies you see people just cranking wheels and the car does something spectacular. But here I knew exactly, okay, if it's going to do a 90-degree turn here, I brake, pull the e-brake, small left, counter steer right, and then go back and, and that looks real. That way it doesn't seem like, oh, this makes no sense. And the car people who were watching this film, if people who love cars have really responded well to the movie and said that they feel like it's really genuine.
Right, well, we are packed full of bogans. Do you have bogans where you come from?
I've heard that expression before.
Bogan is,
yes.
yeah. So that's what we have in New Zealand, and they're people that drive their cars super fast. They generally wear black t-shirts, and they swim in their jeans, and they drink big bottles of beer. They're called bogans. And
so we should call the movie Bogan Driver.
We should call it Bogan Driver, just for the New Zealand release.
No, Baby does not vape. When the first trailer came out and Baby was driving the Subaru WRX, there was a lot of comments online saying, is he vaping in the movie too? Because if you can't own a WRX without vaping.
Scooby heads.
Yeah, you'd have to drive a Holden if you were here, a Holden or a Ford. But no, all the cars are great, and the action, obviously, absolutely superlative. Can I get a bit of a sense? This is an original studio film, and they seem very rare these days, Edgar. And I know this has been a passion project of yours for since the beginning of time, by the sounds of it. What did it take to get this across? Just perseverance?
I think it's just a sort of a number of elements coming together. I mean, people responded to the script, but then, it's the thing of like getting this cast together kind of helped it get made, and just kind of like, with the studio is like, well, we like the script and it's something different, but like how much is it going to cost and where are you going to shoot it? So it's just like, I think even after I first met Ansel, it was then maybe like a solid year or more before we actually were like definitely doing the movie. And that's just a thing of, and it's tough because like I would say with an original film, it's maybe at least 5 times more difficult getting it going because it's not an existing brand. But these are the films worth really striving for. Do you know what I mean? I think it's so important that there's an original film out this summer, and there's not part 5 or something, and there's no big robots or pirates. I'm not mentioning any film specifically. No part 5s with pirates or big robots, but it's not one of those.
Ever. No. I agree.
I didn't mention the names of any films.
No, you didn't. And that was awesome.